Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check out today's video. And guys, today I want to address another forward-facing sonar topic. I've been seeing, there's been some podcasters over the past 3 or 4 months that have been picking out some fisheries biologists or, fisheries managers people and putting them on there, talking about the data they've assimilated in forward-facing sonar. And basically, they either come to sort of like a neutral perspective, or they're more leaning to be the fact that the cheater box does not have that big of an influence on fisheries. I'm calling BS on this, and I want to explain to you guys today why in the video here, because I think there's a lot of gaslighting going on in this, and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding. I think there's a lot of people that think they know more than what they know, and more than anything else, I think people are focused too much here and the now, the situation that we find ourselves now, and they don't have the ability to look down the road where this is leading us to. So I want to get into that in today's video and definitely get your guys' opinion on that as well. Also, guys, real quick, I want to show you guys, I don't know if you've seen it, guys, this is my new Blaukat Power Finesse Throwback jig from Cumberland Pro Lures. Guys, I've been using this for the past 2 weeks, and I have promised, guys, I have caught over 100 bass on this exact setup, this brown and purple with a green Zoom Super Chunk Junior trailer on it down at Table Rock Lake over the last 2 weeks. They absolutely love this thing. Guys, this thing has got what's called frog hair rubber on it, living rubber. And when you put it in the water, like for example, if you put it on a log and you look down the water, this when that frog hair is in the water, it just undulates like this in the water. It looks like something alive, like some type of an octopus. And those fish love it, man. And I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys would like to pick one up. 3 different sizes, 6 different colors, made by Cumberland Pro Lures. Again, Tackle Warehouse and the link in the description to that jig there. Okay, guys, this has been something that's come up over the past year where, all the pro forward-facing sonar advocates will get some of these guys on there, and they'll have some biologists or fisheries people or people that have done studies on forward-facing sonar, and a lot of them say the same thing. It's like, okay, we've seen some impact on, the reaction of fish when it's on versus off, and how fish are getting more educated to it. And basically what they say is, overall, our studies that we've had do not show any significant impact on the fishery, catch rates, the sustainability, harvest, all that type of stuff. Again, I'm calling BS on this. And I think that they're missing the point on this entire conversation we're talking about, because you can't just focus on one aspect of the cheater box and just call it good. Now, one of the biggest bunches, again, of BS on this entire forward-facing sonar topic is the fact that the advocates of forward-facing sonar say that this is nothing but another piece of technology that we've always had in fishing. It's no different than when we came out with the 36-volt trolling motor. It's no different than we came out with power poles. People said the same thing when they came out with side imaging. You hear this, people say the same thing when they came out with paper graphs in the 80s. Bullshit, guys. It's not even in the same universe. So stop saying that this is another technological advancement, just like everything we've had in the sport, and there's nothing out of the norm here, and everything's cool with that. A lot of these people, I'm not trying to disparage, everybody out there, but a lot of the people that I see that talk about this are in their 20s and 30s. They simply do not have the decades of, I'm not talking exactly about experience, but I'm talking about observational skills on what has happened to the quality of fishing in this country and how fish have changed. So their experience is very limited in that aspect of it. But here's the thing about it. Out of every technological advancement that people talk about, that they try to equate with forward-facing sonar, there has never, not even remotely close, been any advancement in technology that has had the dominance and has changed the sport like the cheater box has over the past 2 or 3 years, or now going on about 5 years in bass fishing. It has completely transformed the sport. Paper graphs never transformed the sport. Power poles never transformed the sport. Spot lock on a trolling motor never transformed it. Nothing's ever transformed it, because when you look in terms of the dominance that this piece of technology has had on just the tournament realm and like crappie fishermen, there's nothing has ever even come close to that. There was never a piece of technology prior to the cheater box that had any type of a top heavy influence. You never saw, like I said, any type of technology people try to equate with forward facing sonar. It was never relevant as far as in a complete and total domination or even a minor domination in the sport. I remember, guys, back when side imaging first come out, there was a couple guys like Brian Thrift that used it to have some good tournaments, but it was basically a non-issue. It's like people never even talked about it. You didn't hear people saying that everything I caught on my side imaging or down imaging or whatever. You never saw that. So don't try to equate it to other type of technologies. That's just not true with it. Okay. So when you're talking about this, one of the things that I find funny on this is the same people that say, "Oh, Randy, you're full of crap. Look at the scientific data on forward-facing sonar, and it doesn't have any impact." These are the same dudes that deny the reality of scientific data on man-made climate change. So you can't have both words. You can't pick and choose how you determine scientific data. And scientific data, from what I've seen, in the research on forward-facing sonar is not scientific data. It's more of an observation. It's like you can't be some type of a wildlife biologist and you roll into a boat ramp and you start polling everybody that's coming off a lake. Did you have forward-facing sonar? Did you use forward-facing sonar? How many fish did you catch with your forward-facing sonar on? That is not scientific data. Those people could be lying to you. You cannot use that as any type of an actual factual marker with that. Here's the thing about it. When you look at it just at a pure aspect of common sense, I'll give you guys an example like up at Stockton Lake in Missouri. Prior to forward-facing sonar on Stockton Lake in Missouri, Stockton Lake people love to fish for crappie up there, crappie and walleye. And most of the people that went up there, if they caught their limit of 15 crappie, Stockton Lake's got a 15 fish limit on crappie, 10 inches long. If you caught a 15-inch limit of crappie, you might do it every 2 or 3 months. You might have one of those days where you find a brush pile that's got a bunch of crappie on it and catch your limit, or you might catch 15 crappie when they're spawning up on the bank. But it was rare. Most people, you go up in there and say, "Oh, I got 4 or 5 today," or something like that. You go up there now, guys, and every dude up there, the boat ramps are full of crappie fishermen. They all got livescope on these 3-foot poles, 3-foot metal pedestals in the front of their boat, and they get their limit in 20 or 30 minutes every single day. Every single day. It's like, I can't tell you how many, if you go to the Stockton Lake fishing report pages, there's dudes laying out their limit on a board, showing it off on a picture or showing their live well full of crappie every single day. You can't tell me that doesn't have an impact on it. If you go out and catch a limit of crappie every single day versus catching a limit of crappie every 3 months prior to forward-facing sonar, you can't tell me that doesn't have some type of an impact. And it's the same with bass fishing. You can't, common logic and common sense says that these fish just don't magically reappear once they're taken out of the lake. So, but the point of it is, guys, that's only one part of the conversation. When you're talking about the sustainability of the fishery and the impact that forward-facing sonar has on that fishery, that's only one small part of this entire conversation. There's 2 other elements to that these people that come on these podcasts and these wildlife biologists that they completely forget to bring up. Number one is the fact that this technology is in its infancy stages. When you talk about terms of live imaging technology, it's in its development stages right now. And I can promise you guys that all the freaking designers at Garmin and Humminbird and Lowrance, I guarantee they're working on the next and better and best thing in the forward-facing sonar live imaging technology, and there's going to be consistent advancements in whatever realm of that, the clarity, the accuracy, the frequencies, the ability, to do more than what it's doing now. So in the big picture, what you're talking about, it's more of it starts to get into the realm of the possible or the probable realities of what we're going to face in here. Yeah, right now it's having a huge impact. We're seeing the huge impact, but we have not begun to see the devastation of the impact or we have just on a small level. You know, we've seen catch rates, and you know, we've seen some states like, you know, that have musky fisheries ban forward-facing sonar because it's depleting the musky fisheries, or the, you know, some of the cod fisheries are over in Australia. They're starting to do something, but eventually you're going to start catching up with that. And as this technology advances and advances and advances, it's going to make it even easier for anglers to catch fish. It's going to make it, they're going to become even more adept with it. And that's going to continue to put more and more pressure on the fisheries. And fisheries are a finite resource, guys. A lot of people think that you get out on a 50,000 acre lake and there's an unlimited amount of fish out there. There's not. And it doesn't take an Einstein to realize that the more people that use this technology, and as the technological advancements increase on forward-facing sonar and whatever else is out there on the radar, we don't even know, that's going to have some type of an impact. And the problem that I see with the fisheries managers and the conservation departments in this country is they drag their feet until it's too late on any of this type of stuff. And a lot of them, they have got book smarts, and they've got their fisheries biology degrees, and they're right out of college. They're 3 or 4 years out of college with a fisheries biology degree, and they haven't seen what has happened incrementally over the decades, like anglers like myself and people that have been fishing for 50 years have seen. We have seen the impact that this technology has had on our fishing, especially when you equate it over the past 5 years to prior to that. So that's number one. And then the most important thing in this entire argument that they all skirt over and they ignore everything about it is what it does inherently to the sport of fishing. Now, a lot of people can't wrap their mind around this because a lot of their brains are not wired to the aesthetic. But let me try to explain this a little bit. Fishing is fishing to find fish. That's what bass fishing is. It's fishing to find fish. And forward-facing sonar fundamentally robs that number one basis of what fishing is. Fishing with forward-facing sonar is no longer fishing to find fish. You've removed that basic foundational point of power from fishing because you're allowing a piece of technology to find fish for you. Most of these dudes that love forward-facing sonar, they've got they're holding their rod in one hand, or they've got it laying over their shoulders when they're looking at their cheater box. They're not fishing to find fish. They're allowing technology to find fish. That is the fundamental thing that's messed up about forward-facing sonar, because once you take that aspect of fishing to find fish away from fishing, then you remove everything that makes fishing special, that mystery, that magic, that wonderment, that unknown. And all the dudes I take like out on the water lessons, guys, 99.9% of them get that. They don't want to know what's out there. They don't want to know what's up on that point unless they fish it. They don't want to shine a freaking cheater box out there and say, there's one there, there's not any there, let's go to the next point. That ain't fishing. So never underestimate, and it has got to be in the conversation. When you talk about forward-facing sonar, that fact that it robs the unknown out of fishing has got to be part of the conversation. And if it's not, then you don't respect fishing. You don't respect the tradition and the heritage of fishing. And that's what we're trying to protect here, guys. You go down to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame here in Springfield, Missouri, and you see all the incredible, tradition and history of the sport of bass fishing. There's nothing in there with forward-facing sonar. It's all traditional bass fishing. That's what it's meant to be. If you place the same type of technology that we have seen in bass fishing over the past 3 or 4 years into any other sport out there, bowling, golf, tennis, baseball, football, soccer, whatever, if you had that type of radical technological advancement in the sport, or NASCAR, it would rob the sport of everything that people love about it. And that's what we're doing right now. We are robbing the sport of bass fishing from everything that's important to it because of freaking money. Money corrupts everything. And guys, I'll say it, and I'll say it over and over again. If there was no money to be had in forward-facing sonar with the tournament organizations, it would be banned from the tournaments. I'll fight on that hill any single day of the year. And finally, one other thing with that is, as these technological advances increases, like with forward-facing sonar, it increases the income disparity gap, and it increases the amount of an unlevel playing field in the sport. Some people can't afford forward-facing sonar. Guys, if you're a single mom and you have an average job and you're trying to put food on the table and you've got a kid that loves to bass fish and he's in high school and wants to get on the bass fishing team and he can't afford forward-facing sonar and he's up against some dude that has wealthy parents and they've given their kid a $100,000 bass boat with 5 cheater boxes on it, that is an unlevel playing field, and the income disparity has created this elitism in the sport of bass fishing. Forward-facing sonar has the number one thing that has increased the elitism level in bass fishing, especially on every level of tournament fishing. So main thing, guys, is when you listen to these podcasters or these dudes out there that pull up some wildlife, or not wildlife, but some, fisheries biologist that tries to sugarcoat and put sugar on a turd about the forward-facing sonar, take it with a grain of salt and just sort of try to absorb what I just went over there. So anyway, guys, hope you're all well. We'll talk later.